Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I'm a part-time reseller on Poshmark. Today I want to talk about the mistakes that you are making that are killing your reselling business. There are many mistakes that we all make on a day-to-day basis that we don't realize, but it's actually killing our reselling business because these things really make a huge impact on our business. So that is what I want to talk about in today's video. If that is something that interests you, please feel free to keep watching and make sure you like this video if this is something that you like, so I know to make content like this in the future. But also, if you like reselling content in general, please subscribe for more. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. So the first mistake that you are making, that is probably the most important thing that you should take from this video, is not being consistent. So if you've been around for a while, you know I talk about this all the time. It's just about being consistent and how important it is. Especially with Poshmark, you need to be consistent because Poshmark revolves around people that are consistent. So if you are posting daily, if you are sharing daily, if you are following and engaging daily, you're going to do way better on the platform. But if you are not being consistent and you're not doing these things on a daily basis, it's going to really hurt you, and it's going to kind of make it so you have no sales and stuff. And I know this for a fact because there have been times where I haven't shared or I haven't listed or things like that. I'm not really active. And then I really get into like a slow period of sales where I'm like, why am I not making any sales? And then I start doing it again, and after a few days is when I actually start bringing in the sales again. So it's very important to make sure you're doing these things every day. And you kind of want that too, because again, you want, like, you know, fresh eyes on your closet every day with new inventory, and people aren't going to, like, you know, look at your page if you don't have new things for them. So you really want to make sure you're adding new items, adding, you know, different things every single day, and also make sure you're sharing, make sure you're following. I know people say it doesn't really matter, you know, your follower count on Poshmark, or it doesn't really matter like how many people you're following, but the more you're following and you know, the more activity you have, the better. And Poshmark also likes accounts that are, you know, very much engaged in, you know, the platform. So if you're sharing a lot, they like that. And if you're following a lot, they like that. So make sure that you're, you know, engaged every single day. And if you need to, you can use a VA. I have a VA myself, and so they do like the sharing for me, so I don't have to do any of that. And they could also do the following for me. So all I really have to do is focus on listing, and I do that as much as I can, and I try to have drafts ready every single day so I can list those, so that way I can be consistent. And so I can't recommend this enough. This is so important to do, and it makes such a big difference. And if you're not consistent, you're not going to see consistent sales, and that is what's really going to kill your reselling business. The next thing that is killing your reselling business is not taking good photos and not making good descriptions and listings. So this one is very important to do as well, because again, all the buyer has to go off of is the descriptions and the pictures that you're listing. So if you're not taking good photos, if the photos are wrinkly, or if they don't, like, you know, they have shadows, or if they are taken in like a dark setting, or there's distractions in the background and it's hard to see what's actually for sale, or if your item is cut off, or your descriptions aren't good, it's going to be really hard for a buyer to want to buy from you because they know that you have all these different, you know, problems going on with your items. So I think it's really important to make sure that you take really good photos, make sure you shine a good light on the item so it gets the true color, and also make sure that there's no like weird shadows or distractions in the background. And also make sure that your descriptions are very, very detailed. And I think a great idea to do is to kind of come up with like a template draft form of like your descriptions. So kind of put like, okay, this is what the title is, this is what the, you know, description of the item is, whether it's like, you know, long sleeve, short sleeve, pants, skirt, whatever it is. And then you can describe the color, you could describe the fit, you could describe the size, you can describe like the material, all the details. And then you could also put if there's like flaws in the item, and that way it'll be really easy when you're going through, when you're making new listings, then you just follow the template and then you won't leave out any details, and then also it will look better. And instead of just putting like this item is new with tags, no flaws. That doesn't really help a person determine if they want to buy the item or not. So making sure your descriptions are very, very detailed, make sure that you are putting measurements, make sure you're not having typos. This is all very important to do, and I think having good listings really makes for a great reseller. The next thing that you are doing wrong that is killing your reselling business is just not having good inventory. So making sure that you have good brands or on-trend pieces or things that have a good sell-through rate over a period of time. These are all really important things to do. And if you don't have good inventory, if you don't have brands that are selling, if you have old styles of things, you're not going to have good luck with sales. So I think it's really important to make sure you're looking for trendy pieces, but also look for brands that are just, you know, all-time sellers that sell really well over time on Poshmark. And you can look at the brands, you can look at, you know, the different platforms too, and see what sells better on each platform. But it's really important to make sure that you are finding good pieces, because this will make a huge difference, and you'll see more sales coming through when you have trendy pieces, when you have, you know, pieces that people are actually looking for. And for a while I had filled my closet with more inventory thinking like, oh, more pieces the better. But I was filling it with brands and pieces that like people weren't looking for, people didn't really want, you know, mall brands such as like Banana Republic, Loft, things like that, where they weren't really selling, but I was just, you know, I had them, so I was just listing them. And I thought, well, if I'm listing every day, that's better. And even though I'm listing things that aren't necessarily good, I'm still going to bring in sales. But that's not always the case. And if you fill your closet with too many pieces that people aren't going to want, it's kind of, you know, counterproductive that way. So make sure you're only finding pieces that are really good. Make sure you're finding pieces that are on trend, and make sure that you're doing your research on the brands that you're picking up, so you don't, you know, get stuck with pieces for a very long period of time. The next thing that you are doing wrong that's killing your reselling business is just having prices that just don't align with, you know, what the prices should be. So if you have prices that are way too high, you're not going to make a lot of sales. People aren't going to want to buy, and they're probably not even going to want to send you an offer, because if your price is just way too high, they're going to think, well, they're not going to accept an offer if I make one, so therefore they're not even going to bother. And also, if your prices are way too low, this kind of works the same way, where you're going to be selling things thinking, oh, I'm going to be making sales, but really you're not going to be making sales at a good rate, and so your profits are actually going to be lower than what they should be, which is really hurting your reselling business. So make sure that you're pricing things reasonably, make sure you're pricing things within the actual range, and make sure you're doing your research on what the prices should be. And Poshmark has a tool where it kind of tells you like the range of, you know, like products that they have, but I tend to do my research on the brands first, and I try and look up the style of the shoe or the style of the pants or the style of the shirt or whatever the piece is. I try to look up anything I can about the item of where I should list it. And if I'm really not sure, I'll list a little bit on the lower side, just because I don't want to be too overpriced. But one thing to note too is you want to make sure you're leaving enough room in your prices to be able to send out offers. So if you start your price at your lowest price, you're not going to want to send out offers, and therefore you're not going to be too flexible. So always list things a little bit higher, and then that way you have a little bit of wiggle room if someone does send you an offer, or if you want to send out offers yourself. The final thing that is killing your reselling business is just not having good customer service. So this goes for responding. If you respond very slow to your customers when they ask questions or when they buy, or also, you know, not shipping out pretty quick, that's also bad customer service, because that means that you're not, you know, fulfilling the orders quick enough, and that means that you don't have a fast response time. So I try and get my orders out either the same day or the next day. And again, if it's like a Saturday and I can't get it out till Monday, well, that's just the way that it works, because you can't ship out on Sundays. But I really try same day, or if not next day, all the time, just so I can keep that consistent and keep my orders, you know, with a very, very quick ship time. And a lot of the times, a lot of the customers will actually tell me that, you know, I had very quick ship time, or like they were very impressed with how quickly I got the item out. And I think this just goes a long way, because we live in a time where people can get things very quickly through the mail, especially like with Amazon and other retailers. You can get things pretty much overnight now. So if you don't get your items out in a reasonable amount of time, people are gonna kind of go elsewhere to try to find the item. And so it's very important to make sure that you're getting your items out quickly, and you are responding when customers have questions. You don't want the buyer to come at you a couple times with questions and you not answer. And you also do not want, you know, someone to send you an offer and then you don't respond for several hours. You want to make sure that you're very active and responding to people promptly. And I understand that we get busy and we have things going on. That's okay. But you don't want to leave people hanging too long, because I've actually come across people on Poshmark that just don't respond, and I don't want to buy from them, because, well, why would I want to buy from someone that, you know, isn't responding to me? That probably means they're not going to ship the item out. So you don't want to get stuck in a situation like this. You want to respond quickly, you want to have good customer service, and this also just kind of ties into, you want to be respectful, you want to kind of, you know, have people come back to you, and they want you to remember your business in a good way. So if you're, you know, being rude to the customer, or you're, you know, fighting back if they gave you a negative review and you're not happy with it, or, you know, whatever the case is, you just want to be respectful, and you want to remember that you are running a business and you are the front of your business. So if you are not, you know, representing what you want it to be, then it's not going to be good, and people aren't going to want to come back because they're going to remember your business as, you know, not a good thing. So it's really important to do these things and have good customer service and be remembered as a very good company. So all in all, these are my 5 tips of things that are killing your reselling business and what you should do instead, that's, you know, going to help you and help you succeed. So if you follow these 5 tips, you will have a very successful reselling business. Let me know down below if you have any tips that you think people are doing wrong, and what they can do to improve, things that you think are, you know, killing other people's reselling businesses. And also comment down below if you agree or disagree with any of these. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But if you want to check out another video I have a video on things that you should and shouldn't do on Poshmark, including what will get you banned on the platform. Click right here. And also, if you want to see the new features that they released at PoshFest, including things that are now currently active on the app, click right here. But until next time, I'll see you then.